Let's start first with African time.
You know, when I hear things like that, especially when it's being used in a pejorative term, I feel very displeased.
This is a stereotype, which unfortunately has become the truth.
And if the losses, if we agree that the losses are bigger than the gains, then let's analyze and let's observe our Caucasian counterparts a bit closer, for the purpose of learning.
Well, I think I'm bothered a little bit when we look at all these things from Africa and we think the equivalent for development is look at our Caucasian or look at the West. It's not the way it works. When we talk about those things and we want to look for how we could innovate, it does not necessarily have to be the Western equivalent. How in our own cultural context?
Yes, but we will observe the way that they are living in the land that they've lived in for hundreds of years.
The history of a black man, we worked with events, maybe sunrise, maybe sunset. Those are not time-based events.
So when they organize events or occasions, they give room for people to come probably at different times.
And whether we like it or not, we're not very different from that man that lived 200 years ago in some village in Akwa Ibom or your state.
But I think we need to do away with this practice. This is a stereotype, like I said, unfortunately, that is telling on us negatively. We don't respect time, and we don't respect time, it means you don't respect the people.
If you have to catch a flight, if you have to do anything that is not governed by Nigeria as a people or Africans as a people, we are on time.
And if you know, this is not just Nigeria. It's across our
It's
globe.
a free attitude.
So
I don't
think so.
But it is what it is, right?
Well, you can say that now that we are in a different environment. We were not governed by these parameters. We have to understand where we're coming from.
This is not good. One, time is money, and we fail to understand that.
Africans are people who recognize the fact that people have their individuality, they have the way they plan their lives.
No matter how much we talk about it, people will still go to church late. So something is fundamentally wrong with why are we the only ones that behave like this? That's what we're trying to study.
Because we're always sorry, that's the thing, we're always sorry for starting late due to unforeseen circumstances beyond our control.
It's always a standby statement.
Culture travels with us, but not every part of culture serves us well. Welcome to Naija Now. For the most part, the Nigerian culture is a source of pride and identity home and abroad. While many aspects of our culture uplift us, like our food, our fashion, our music, our resilience, and even our communal spirit, there are some habits we carry along that may no longer serve us well, especially as Nigerians living in diaspora. Today, we are reflecting on two of those habits. We're gonna have a heart-to-heart talk about one, the idea of African time, and two, the culture of last-minute planning.
Okay, so we have the usual crew in the house. I'm gonna start from this side for a change. Toby, welcome to Naija Now.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Appreciate you.
Are you sure that is from your mind?
From the bottom of my heart.
Your mind is different from your heart.
Thanks for having us. My soul.
In this tax season, when people don't talk loud, we know
you speak from your mind, not your heart.
They are repaying government something.
That's tax thing, yeah. Let's not even go there, yeah. Soji, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And
as usual.
Promise. So we have to have a heart-to-heart talk about the way we are. Let's start first with African time. Now, I think I've heard some opinions about what the root cause would be. Some people say that pre-colonial Nigeria was not governed by the clock. And so events and all that were not governed by the clock. What would you say, Soji, is the origin of African time?
Well, I don't have the specific knowledge of what the origin is, but I think I always love to speak to the cultural and social systems surrounding African time. You know, when I hear things like that, especially when it's being used in a pejorative term, I feel very displeased. like, no, 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 we have very good things. Some of these things we've turned around are actually good things. So the social and cultural system surrounding that expression is quite different from what we see today. Africans are people who recognize the fact that people have their individuality, they have the way they plan their lives. So when they organize events or occasions, they give room for people to come probably at different times.
So we have huge respect for relationships.
Yeah, relationship, familial connections, and all those things. So they believe, oh, people could be held up, people could be this. And now, I am not saying that we have not turned it into something that is actually negating our development. Over time, I think we've turned it into something else, just like some of these things that are basis of our culture, turning it into something that is not serving the purpose which it should be serving. So I think it's something that actually emanated from a liberal sense of understanding each individual positions, and then we turned it into every aspect of life. When we talk about African time, it's actually a room you are given to an informal setup. But we have introduced those things into every aspect of it. Even formal, people going to interview late and then thinking.
But that one is very, I was just about to say that one, I don't know if you agree with me here, Promise, that aspect of it seems to be exempt from African time. If you have to catch a flight, if you have to do anything that is not governed by Nigeria as a people or Africans as a people, we're on time.
The truth of the matter is that this is a stereotype, which unfortunately has become the truth. We accept this thing, we do this thing, and we all sit, and it gets very embarrassing. And each day and time that passes, people tell us, oh, we maintain Africa, and we laugh over it. This is not good. One, time is money, and we fail to understand that. We are now in the West, where every appointment you have to be there 5 minutes prior to that time. And if you don't do that, a lot of things happen. They don't take you as someone who is serious. You're not responsible. You've thrown respect through the window. Yeah. Nobody sees you to be serious. Why did you sign up for this appointment? But you're not showing up. So if we don't begin now to speak to ourselves, I mean, I get very emotional about this.
I can tell.
Sometimes my own self, even when I do this, I feel so bad about it. I go to church when everyone is seated. I go to church when they're already middle of this thing. Well, sometimes not by my making, but because, I have a community of children. So and you have your sisters who just want to make up, put on this one. But I think we need to do away with this practice. This is a stereotype, like I said, unfortunately, that is telling on us negatively. We don't respect time. And we don't respect time, it means you don't respect the people who are expecting you to be there at that meeting. So I feel it's time, especially now that we've seen the light, to be able to do away with this, disabuse the fact that it's supposed to be something beautiful about it. I don't know. Toby might
this really touched promises. What do you think, in your words, would be some root causes?
Root causes, I would want to say it's kind of entrenched in our history. An average black man, and if you notice, it's not just Nigeria. It's across.
I agree. It's less a free attitude.
So
I don't care attitude.
I don't think so.
But it is what it is, right?
Well, you can say that now that we are in a different environment. We were not governed by these parameters. We have to understand where we're coming from. We were not governed.
So what's the history? That's the point.
Yeah, the history of a black man. We worked with events, maybe sunrise, maybe sunset. Those are not time-based events. And whether we like it or not, we're not very different from that man that lived 200 years ago in some village in Akwa Ibom or your state, We're just an offshoot.
I really don't know. I don't know what the problem he has.
Please leave him alone. Is it not part of Nigeria?
It's not.
Is there something you're not telling us about?
Leave him. Land your land.
But we're not very different from that man. We're still an offshoot of that man, whether we agree or not. So
but is that a
some
good
of
thing,
these
though?
things, fine. We're in a different environment where much importance is placed on time. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. We all have to get to places in time so that we can get work done. But even the fact that you said time is money, time was not attributed to money in ancient Africa, just a little bit. It's not associated. We don't work by the hour.
We get it done. It's done when it's done.
It's done when it's done, and there is no pressure of capitalism to get certain results. We were content with some of these things may not be globally accepted as the norm, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what we are. So when we get to new environments, we say when you get to Rome, behave like Romans. We have to change and adapt. Now we have to go to shifts without getting late. Now we have to ensure that we meet up deadlines and don't mess up time. But the fact that we are Africans still makes us know that there is what we have now cliched to be African time, and we all live by those, because whether you like it or not, we'll call meetings we will not get to work late. None of us goes to work late.
Exactly, which was my point. But okay, so if we put it that way, what do we say about the instance where because this has actually happened to me before, someone like a dignitary that was coming to an event, I was leaving, and this was back in Nigeria, I was leaving for the event. Let's say the event is supposed to start at 5. And I was saying, okay, so let's leave at 4. So we'll be there at 5. And the person was saying, no. Status and hierarchy. Like, you're supposed to allow everybody to be seated. Everything should be well. Then you keep them waiting for something like 30 minutes. And then you walk in. I was mortified. But the person, was very strong on their point. So I got there on time. And this person arrived so because I knew that this discussion had taken place.
But that's slightly different from allowing it to be culture. Those are protocol things. But you see, it's done here too. For instance, if...
Are you saying that it's allowed sometimes?
No, there are protocols. For example, if Macron is supposed to be here to have a meeting with people, he will be around, but he'll be in the back room, right? But that doesn't mean he came late, because he wants people to settle in before he comes out. But you find politicians in Nigeria, the event is for 5 p.m. By 6 p.m., that man is still in his house.
He hasn't left.
That is disrespect. Okay, there's a movie that, a skit that you shared with us the other day. These two Caucasians had come to Nigeria for a wedding.
Yeah.
And they looked at it and said, oh my God, 5 minutes late to this event. But when they showed up there was no one. So even in their own lateness,
they were late, but they were the first. Like, there was nothing going on in the hall.
Please, can you explain to me what sense this makes to anybody?
There's actually statistics. There's actually statistics about this, because I did check it. And it says, like, for a wedding, it is customary, to begin 2 to 3 hours after advertised times. For events, like social events, it's customary, to start 3 to 4 hours after... So okay, yeah. So if we know that it doesn't serve us well, how come we haven't, all the English that we've spoken hasn't necessarily changed? I've still attended some, events here abroad that didn't start on time. And then there's that thing that we always say, we apologize because we're always sorry. That's the thing, we're always sorry for starting late due to unforeseen circumstances beyond our control.
It's always a standby statement.
Clause, right? It's always attached to the contract.
So it does happen. And from everything I've heard you say, even when you were talking about church, it's last minute planning.
I know.
If I'm going to do my hair, for instance, and I'm equally guilty of this, I should have maybe prepped all my things the day before and all that. But somehow it's like, it's when that thing, it's as if we're adrenaline junkies, that when it's like, it's almost time, that's when we know, that we'll get to work. So last minute planning is like, we agree that that's generally the root cause and what we need to tackle to change. So for last minute planning, how have you contributed to being a Nigerian that plans last minute?
Well, for such a question, my brother here, Soji, will agree with me that when you say last minute planning, it's something that has become, it has conditioned our minds. Like, even for simple things like, what time do I want to be waking up? What time do I want to go to bed? We don't plan for those things. So that minute that you realize things are important, that's why you jump on it. And it's really not telling good on us. And that late planning or failure to plan too is what has caused us damages in the past. For example, opportunities. I'll bring stock market, for instance, for you. That's not something that waits for you. That's where this statement for me, that time is money, comes to play. Stock market is not waiting for you to wake up. Things change like this. So if you are on time to things, you'll be able to catch what's going on time, and you can fix things. And again, the good thing about planning, when you plan, you can take care of risks. You take off things that come up that you did not plan for because you have planned in advance. At least it gives you the opportunity to predict, anticipate things that could happen along the line. But when one fails, at least you have 3 other things that are still going to run as planned. So planning, I would say it will be the right place to go for anyone who wants to make progress. Planning will also help you navigate through some of those challenges in life. For instance, if you don't plan on having children and all of a sudden madam says I've missed my period, so
Bing!
what happens
And
after
you're
that?
suddenly surprised.
I hope that is not
What
happening.
happens? No, it's not
I hope
happening
that
to
is
me.
not happening right now.
We should plan for this. We
To
should
anybody
plan.
on this table.
We
yeah.
should plan, we should prepare.
Yeah.
That's just my point. I feel planning is very key. We cannot overemphasize that fact because when you plan, you're able to execute. Results are always
In our defense, as a people, I think, that I could say that in a place where infrastructure is a bit of a challenge, sometimes the late planning, well, maybe not the late planning, but the African time side of it is force majeure.
Yeah.
If traffic is going to be sold 6-7 hours and you've done your best to be ahead of it, but you did not know that there was going to be a crash, on the highway, etc.
That's understandable.
And all that.
Yeah.
We have, all that happening. But now that we live in the West, we've had an opportunity to observe other cultures. What would you say that you've noticed, with regards to how the West has an advantage in terms of the way, because the West is driven by what? By scheduling, is driven by working in advance. Say for instance, if you want a vendor to offer you, to do a certain service for you, if you do not present your need to the vendor within a certain window, you'll just find that they won't take, and they'll tell you, even if they are free, they won't take it because it weighs on them mentally, it weighs on them in so many ways, for planning. So in what ways, would you say that maybe that would be a surgy question. I've noticed that they actually gain advantage.
So what do we learn from them?
First of all, I wouldn't want to confuse our viewers. I think our knowledge or expression of African time and last minute planning, it's not to say we are actually promoting these things. We are just saying these things have their own tendencies.
Yes.
And when they happen, or they've happened over time, it doesn't mean these are people who lack development. We are just saying this is a structure and the system where these people have existed for over a long time.
Agreed.
But now we are seeing the world in a different light. People ought to innovate. People ought to develop.
Yes.
We need to also move. And that's why we must begin to rethink that system of African time or last minute planning. How can we mitigate this being in the West now? For me, I always say this, if I'm planning a party in Nigeria now, because I don't want, what happened before is that when you plan a party and people come African time, because you have a knowledge of, okay, I'm expecting 500 people. You understand? People will come, you feel, by 6, the party should have ended, but the party went on till 8 p.m. You still have some food because you provided for extras. People may bring friends or family along. These days that there is economic crisis, and then people even get crash parties that they are not invited. The numbers balloon.
I branch.
The numbers balloon, and the people who are hosting the party are in trouble.
Right.
So people have to really plan to curtail those things. So one of the first things I feel I could do to mitigate African time is putting time on my party. This party on my IV to be there 3 to 7 p.m. If you come 7:30 and the place is scanty, nobody is there, I don't owe you an apology. It's already there in my...
But if the people don't come on time...
It is not your business.
So
that is it.
You do an empty hall party.
It is
to make a point.
But if I say my party is 3 to 7 p.m., by 7 p.m., everybody is gone. Bye singers, bye this food people, pack your food. I am out. If you don't see me, who will you accuse? So because of that tendency that, developing worlds are placing premium on time, like we talk, that when we realize, this is what putting premium on time could facilitate in terms of development. We thinking or turning this African time system into something that had denigrated us. We need to start rethinking. okay, if we put time on some of these things, we could have this set of developments, you know, come to do this job by this time, and the person does not appear until the next day. Someone else would get the job, or you are losing the job. We should place premium on time.
What do you
That
see
is just
in your Caucasian counterparts, you know, in terms of how they save on stuff by planning way ahead?
Okay, let me begin with a very simple example. In this place, if the storm is coming, you tell you in advance. Okay, so that's science for them, and they're taking it seriously. The other thing is the government that run things around the West here, they plan ahead of time. They plan in 10 years, in 30 years plan. You see big roadmap plans. Why are they doing that? That's not work in futility. They are giving you a sense of what you should be doing the next day, the next month, the next year. And that helps you prepare for exigencies, anything that you probably didn't anticipate. So you see that in the attitude of our colleagues at work. If our work we're supposed to be there at 8:30, they're already there at 7:45. They are there at least 15 minutes to the time. And you see, when you see this kind of attitude, you can see it brings respect to them. You can almost give them some regard because they're showing up on time, and no one can talk down on them because, but you know, when you have to constantly say,
They've
I'm sorry.
I
am sorry that I came late. And then sometimes you're forced to come up with a story, cook-up story, to be able to explain yourself. Why do you have to be in that place to start with? We don't need that. But just simply do it. And if you cannot, own up and say, okay, look, I'm not coming to show up today because it's late. Clearly, it's late. So you can see that this is something that we've seen that's possible. I'm not saying that it makes us bad people. Sometimes we go to work and we're the last to even leave. But that's not what they are telling you. The policy says 8 o'clock, 9 to 5. So why don't you just come in at that time? Don't stay beyond that time because that's the other part of it. We talk about coming early. And sometimes we will even stay late. And that's not what they're asking from you. That's excessive. Come when they want you to come. Go when you're supposed to go. And in doing this, you build respect for yourself and you respect other people.
What about you, Toby? Have you seen anything, say maybe for instance, sales on items? Just because, buying items cheaper just because you planned ahead. Have you experienced that?
Well, planning ahead, of course, you want to go on a vacation, you book it ahead, you get it for a discount, you want to fly. If you book your flights 3, 4, 5 months ahead, you get it for cheap. Yeah, not defending the Nigerian or the African time thing, but I was just trying to look at it from all of us just not condemning it and looking at it from one perspective. They say if 3 brothers come out of a room smiling, they have not told themselves the truth.
No, but Toby, come on.
But
you used to be a very real
person. Listen to me.
This is not right. Let's drop it. We are resilient people.
Of course.
Let's keep to that one.
Do I go late to work? Do I go late to events?
That's the point. Yeah.
So I'm not encouraging everybody to go late to places and not be time conscious. We're just trying to look at how events can, why things behave the way, why we behave the way we do. Because no matter how much we talk about it, tomorrow, Sunday, people will still go to church late.
Absolutely.
So something is fundamentally wrong with why are we the only ones that behave like this? That's what we're trying to study. And if you're studying a specimen or a controlled environment, that's how you look at things. I guess maybe my mind is already wired to look at events that way. But what am I trying to say? There are 2 things I was looking at. Number 1, the system of government that we practiced originally in Africa. We were not, presidential, unitary, parliamentary, back from time. We were monarchical. And monarchical system is a lifetime thing. It's not time-based. You have to use 1 year, after 2 years, after 4 years, somebody else come. No, this is foreign to us. If you look at our economic system too, it was not time-based. The economic system here is capitalist. It's a capitalist economy. We were not capitalists.
But do you agree that it causes us loss? For instance, like the quality of our events.
Well, who said the richest men in history, Mansa Musa was an African. The richest documented tradesmen were African. So it didn't necessarily cause us loss. We don't have to practice capitalism as it's done today for us to be rich. Again, the way you guys are looking at me, like
Yes,
I'm
no, because
supporting.
if
Like I'm
if you don't devote
supporting-
so much time, if you don't devote so much time, as we've seen,
We
in
do.
the West,
No, I
where
mean, look at
like if someone wants
Africans.
to plan a wedding now, you get a wedding invitation a year.
Absolutely.
And if the losses, if we agree that the losses are bigger than the gains,
Yeah.
then let's analyze and let's observe our Caucasian counterparts a bit closer, for the purpose of learning.
Yeah,
Say for instance, yes, go ahead.
Model, you see, the truth of the reason why we are bringing this to the fore and we're talking about in the way we are doing is because, like you said, a lot of demerit to not planning,
Yeah.
a lot of demerit to not preparing on time. There's a lot of demerit for not respecting time.
Excessive spending, unnecessarily.
Absolutely. I mean, the other day, I think you were the one I was sharing this with. The way I don't know why I have to say, but I have to say, the way my wife shops, she loves shopping a lot. In fact, the only way she will tell you, the only way I can deal with depression is to send me to the mall. She's okay. But she comes
therapy.
back with boxes, clothes, shoes, expensive looking things, but for a penny. Why?
A
Because
fraction of the
she
amount.
has timing. She understands when the markdowns are happening. The high-end stores, she gets them as for almost.
Plans ahead.
It's about planning. She might buy things that are meant for summer in winter.
Right.
And one will be like, why are you buying those? Because she knows during summer, those prices will spike
Even
up.
like to get the vendors and to get like their discounts and everything.
So, I mean, it actually comes all the way down to even our very lives. How do we plan our
Yes.
retirement?
I think you had you had a great thing going with your first response. You said that one of the first aspects where we need to effect a change is planning our day to day.
Absolutely.
Our Caucasian colleagues, for instance, I've heard someone say to me, I know that I really don't want to invest time. I don't want to invest 20 to 30 years of my life running back and forth, in kids games, sports and all that after. So I won't have kids.
That's a different story altogether.
So they've thought about it and decided that,
some don't want to have
I'll
this thing for some
get
reason, right?
I'll just get a furry
Yeah.
baby. I'll
Yeah.
get a cat, or I'll just
But
get a,
it means when they're not prepared, they don't want to get it.
yeah, they don't want to get into
Yeah,
anything that
yeah.
they're not
Which makes a
prepared
lot of
for.
sense, yeah.
And do you think that it causes better lifespan, longer lifespan, better life experience, for our Caucasian counterparts? I think it does.
Yeah.
What do you think?
To a very large extent. Yeah, it does. What do you think, Sajid?
Well, I think I'm bothered a little bit when we look at all these things from Africa and we think the equivalent for development is look at our Caucasian or
Yeah.
look at the West. It's not the way it
works, yeah.
Look at the democracy that we are practicing. We practically stole it from the West and it's not working
not
for us.
working.
When
But there are some
Abacha,
things that are
Abacha
working.
was one of the worst rulers in Nigeria, but during his tenure, he mentioned something. I bet he was going to use it to deceive Nigerians. He said we should practice grassroots democracy. We've been practicing democracy before the West knew what democracy was. But we just stole their own kind of democracy.
Yeah.
So when we talk about those things and we want to look for how we could innovate,
Yes.
it does not necessarily have to be the Western equivalent. How
But
in our own
we're
cultural
observing,
context?
yes, but we will observe
Can we?
the way that they are living in the land that they've lived in for hundreds of years, and then look at our place, for instance, in it. So, let's say, for instance, when we were coming here, I thought about it the other day. What exactly was my retirement plan? Did I think it through when I was packing up my things, and leaving young and strong, all my faculties intact, everything, Did I think through what 50 years down the line, would look like? Which then leads me, to the question, Toby, what's your retirement plan? Have you thought about it?
Well,
Is it here or are you going back to Naija?
an average Yoruba man has a lot of ties to their roots. So I still have a rope tied to my waist.
So you plan to go and retire in Naija?
Of course.
Wow.
Home is home. Home sweet home. I have that plan to someday.
So
Very
how
soon.
are you planning practically for that move, knowing that maybe at 80, you probably won't be running
80?
all the hours of work. So are you ready? Are you financially ready? Are you
Well, not
working
right now.
towards
Of
it?
course not. Yeah, working towards it's work in progress. But ultimately, I want to retire back home amongst friends. It's kind of cold out here. Very few people to say hello. Remember
friendly
that
to
song
the old bones.
from Bongo Zikwe, where the neighbors say hello. The
Yes.
neighbors don't say hello here.
The neighbors say
You know, where the neighbors say hello.
Yeah,
You know,
Kokoro at dawn.
Cockroach dawn. You
Yeah.
know, you want to hear Kukuruku early in the morning. You want to drink palm wine with your friends.
That's the good life.
Yeah, the good life.
So are you also planning
You
to
want
go
to have
home,
people
Soji?
who smile to you. You know,
What's your retirement plan?
Absolutely. Going home.
Or do you
going
want to
home
end
to
up in
Nigeria?
a
But it
in a
depends on the
elders
time.
home? What do they call them?
No.
So am I the only one that's not really planning to promise? What about you?
No, but I don't know why these gentlemen today they are sounding the way they are sounding. Because at the end of the day, what is home really? When you say go home, home is where you live, right? I tell you, Toby, I tell you, Soji, in the next 20 years, 30 years, Nigeria you left, it's not the Nigeria you're going to meet.
So how you can fit back
So
in?
how do you, exactly my point, how do you fit in?
Okay.
Listen, the food you have eaten now here in Canada, it's not the same.
I can
By the time
attest
you
to
get
that
back-
one. Oh, hey.
So are you prepared to have those reactions, bodily,
Yeah.
health-wise?
See,
Hold on.
My precious guy,
Sorry,
I can't
I don't
do
want you to
that
react
again.
immediately.
Oh my gosh.
You also have, somehow your body has adjusted, adapted to what this environment looks like. The day you leave this cold region to the hot region, your body will remind you of something.
Yeah,
But to your point, you
Looking
told us
forward
about
to it.
planning.
No, but you don't want that reminder in your old age. All right, the systems in place in Nigeria, if things don't change, do you think they will be worth living there? For example, if you have health issues, with the system assessed, going by the things we see right now with governance and development, are you sure?
Maybe new Nigeria would have emerged.
Hopefully, but that's still a dream.
Yeah,
Because what
it's
we
a
are feeling,
dream.
the reality right now.
it's a dream we are hoping would come true.
Yeah,
But
so-
even if it doesn't come true,
Yes, we still
Nigeria
wanna
is the only place probably that I know in this world where if you have the money, you get the best of anything.
How about your
bless
security?
you.
The best of
The
the
best
security,
of
guarantee your
security.
security.
the security,
Yeah.
the whatever, you will get it.
The best of life.
So by the time I go back, I'm hoping I will have some small change, like we call it, to live. But I am fascinated by the question
Are you
asked.
hoping or are you planning? You said I'm hoping. Are you
I
planning?
will.
Because
That's
we're
why
talking
I'm
about
fascinated
planning.
by one of his questions. I don't understand why you guys are hoping to or thinking of going back. See,
Yeah.
about 3 years ago, I was
No,
traveling.
because you
I
guys
was
should talk
returning-
about the things that are lacking in
Yeah.
the system back.
I
And
was,
you want to go
yeah,
into that system.
I was
Make
returning.
it make sense to
East
me.
or west, home is best.
I was returning to Canada from via Montreal.
Yeah.
At the airport, I met this young immigration guy who's, usually they will stop you. Yeah, bring your documents. I brought out my document that I am a resident. These are my documents and everything. So where are you coming from? And reflectively, I wasn't trying to, amuse him. I just said, I went to my country. The guy, you will see all his demeanor. You are carrying a Canadian PR card and you are still saying your country. You understand? And he said, what do you mean your country?
Yeah.
I detected what
This content
could
has
have
changed, right?
and I repeated it. I went to my country, Nigeria. He looked at my PR card again. Do you live here or not? I live here. This is where I live now. But my country is Nigeria.
That's
It
right.
was, so I can't spend the first 40 years of my life being everything. My whole embodiment is Nigeria. There's nothing. See, what
So
I'm doing
in
here
other
is just
words,
mere
promise.
histrionic theater.
He's planning.
I will go back to that country. And by the grace of God, that country will change.
So you have proven to us, or both of you at least, that you are thinking about it.
I haven't
think
said
that's
that here too.
so you are not. Tell us.
No, why
You haven't decided.
Don't
Probably.
take
You
on the
did
spotlight.
not think
He's
he hasn't
retiring in
planned.
Guadalupe.
Promise.
No, because I might end up in
promise.
Jamaica. That's what I'm saying.
Guadalupe.
But that's what I'm saying. Is this not last minute planning that we're talking about? Because promise, I know. I don't know a lot of things, but I know that you're not 28.
28K.
Exactly.
My
My
answer
point.
is get up from the
So you haven't proven to us that you've planned.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm not
to be
saying that I'm
honest,
not pointing
it's-
fingers at you
it's-
because I
it's-
haven't fully thought it through.
No, for me, to be honest with you, it's actually based on what I see. Days leading to my retirement, which is very soon anyway, by the way. My retirement
for you,
is very
bro.
close. Very, very
Good
close.
for you. Hey, rich boy.
I envy
Rich
you.
boy.
No, you better do. You
I
better
envy
do.
you.
But
Yeah.
if you see that change, why not Nigeria? But going by the things we see right now, I don't have that strong hope that Nigeria has what it takes to carry my
Okay,
retirement.
let's
I
pivot
wouldn't
away
go
from this. I
back
don't
there
like
now.
this.
Yeah?
I wouldn't go back to
These
that country
sad
now.
statements.
Yes.
Let's
It's
pivot away
sad,
from this.
yeah.
I have another question for you guys.
Yes.
Okay, what about when we see our Caucasian colleagues, I'm sure you've seen these things at work
Yeah.
where you see them, and for the whole year, their vacation days are planned. They're planned around the bank holidays, so
Yep.
they plan rest.
They plan rest.
Somebody said, wasn't it you that was saying that,
Yeah.
even God who created us worked 6 days, planned rest.
Even God.
But
Yeah.
do we plan rest? Or really what happens is the body just say, I beg, I can't do it, Well, then we have to take our sick days. Aren't we the ones who don't take our sick days for 3 years running? We think it's a great thing. Do you plan your rest? Do you plan vacation?
Well, that's why I was opposed to the fact that, there is something being ascribed to the fact that maybe we are lazy, maybe we are not competent.
Certainly not my position.
Certainly not. Certainly not. We're the most hardworking people that I know. We will not, in Canada, in America, we don't come late to work. We don't even take
Generally
off
speaking.
sick leaves. So to say that we're not timely is an assertion that is not true.
No, well,
But we don't plan to rest.
Well,
which means
yes, we have
that
issues that we can
will
fix.
what's it called? We will reach
Burn
exhaustion.
down. Burnout,
We'll burn
yeah.
out faster than our colleagues.
And that's true. That's something we should learn. But it also comes from what I was trying to explain the last time. It comes from the kind of environment that we grew up from, the kind of
Toby,
system.
Well, let's move out of our environment now. Let's
Toby,
We are
evolve.
what we are.
Hey!
How can we-
My point is, you're saying that we don't go late here. But that's because I would say, using the word light, we've seen things done differently. And we think it's a good thing. And so we're doing it. So
And I will
this
explain-
message
I will
is mostly to my brothers in Lagos, for instance, who would have a party for 4 o'clock, but by 5 p.m. they're still in the house. They've not even gone into the shower room. But I feel like we've all seen around here how this is the right way to go. And that's why we're following through. But you talked about modeling, you talked about rest, right?
Yes.
There's one final rest that we have not even talking about, right? We're not talking about estate planning. We're not talking
Yeah.
about when you finally leave this planet to rest,
Rest.
in perpetuity. Okay, what are your plans? I
Let me
mean,
give you
it
guys one
goes
gist.
down, goes down to it, right?
Let me give you guys one gist too. So I went for an event. It was highly multicultural. It was like a development coaching session, like the whole day. And there was an aspect about it where we spoke about like impact, legacy that you wanted to leave behind. But most importantly, we were given a session where we were supposed to write our own epitaph, write what is supposed to be, spoken about us, at the end. And I experienced a whole lot of things just from observing the people in the room. There was a Caucasian gentleman, his haircut and everything looked like he may be a vet, maybe had spent some time serving in the forces. He was the first to finish. He had written, papa, he had finished. I observed one of my fellow brethren just weeping, because it seemed like, for the first time, they were being faced with their mortality.
Sure.
We don't think about these things. So if you say anything about, God forbid, far
The blood
from
of
me,
Jesus, I bind.
but we had to do that. And it also then made me think, for the first time, about my mortality. Are we planning? Some of us had a root shock. For that lady, it was when she was crying. Some of us had a root shock and reminder about mortality last year. Because if you're in this community, for instance, at least one of those GoFundMes would have hit your social media page.
Absolutely.
We lost maybe
Absolutely.
5, 6 members, of the community. And I'm not talking seniors necessarily, members of the
Their
community
prime.
and our prime. And the shock and the passion with which,
So that
those
is
who gave
sign
to the
of not
GoFundMe.
planning that we end up with the GoFundMe thing,
Yeah,
right?
so I saw the GoFundMes and, it just occurred to me that, oh my goodness, this could happen, and all of a sudden there's a huge funeral expense, which I'm told, goes somewhere between 25 to 50,000, if you want to do the traditional way, here. Are we planning? Have we thought it through? What are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, this is always an emotional topic because where we come from, tradition, religion has already conditioned our minds to reject this kind of conversation. But it's a conversation we must have.
Absolutely.
We must plan for those lights. I mean, I'm happy you brought this up. The truth of the matter is that there's a lot to learn from this. If you truly love your family, your spouse, your children, family members who you eventually leave, because Again,
you want to shield them, I
yeah,
think.
the best thing to do for them is start thinking about those things, because this is an inevitability, right? Everybody wants to make heaven, but nobody wants to die. But the only vehicle that takes you to heaven is death. So let's begin to think about it. If you haven't already, call someone who can help you sign up for some of these things. Not that you're going to die tomorrow. And our prayer is nobody dies. But when life happens, you just have to respond. So planning for these things is important. Making sure that things are put in the right places. And someone told me recently, I'm sorry I'm taking this too long.
No, it's fine.
Someone said recently that even the properties we own, our mortgages and all those things, this is how you place it. And it becomes a burden.
You have to ask the right questions, or I've heard that
some
too.
Some say you have to leave it,
that your
for
family could be in
estate.
serious trouble.
Absolutely, in debt. So these are things that we have to educate ourselves about. We have to be very conscious about this thing, because if we don't do that, that's poor planning again. And the consequences there. So we need to be conscious of the fact that natural things occur, and we have to plan for them. That's my take.
I have another question to ask you. So in this, in terms of like planning and trying to shield your family members and everyone, who would be left behind in the eventuality, of expiration of life. I had a friend when we first, came to Canada, who had asked me about life insurance and stuff like that. And I gave the Nigerian response. I said, God forbid. That was my immediate response. He's Caucasian, was Caucasian, and he laughed, but he told me, he asked me some frank questions. He said, if you drop dead right now, they don't really have much filters when it comes to it. If you drop dead right now, what's going to happen to your kids? What's going to happen to this? If you went before your spouse, what's going to happen? I was like, these are bad questions. This is a bad conversation, and all that. But he then gave himself as an example and explained that, if something happens to him right now, his spouse is taking care of, there are plans in place, to take care of that. And I just brushed it away.
Yeah.
Between you and I right now, life did happen to him. Yeah. And he eventually fell ill suddenly, and eventually passed. And I remembered that when he passed, it was like, oh my goodness. I noticed that, number one, we didn't have to raise a GoFundMe for his surviving family. And it stuck with me. But where I'm going with my question now is this. In my opinion, he was given a decent farewell and a decent end of life set of ceremonies. However, there was no suit, there was no ashwebi, there was no limo, crowd. There was no casket. Where am I going? Cremation was an option that the family chose. And cremation in and out, I'm told that the cost, about maybe $3,000 versus the $50,000 funeral cost for doing traditional, not to talk of if you have to repatriate the body.
Which we do a lot, and
repatriation of body. I heard the UK people say it's £60,000. I don't know I don't know how much that is. So, is cremation an option, for us, or is it demeaning? Because I've heard some Nigerians in the community say, God forbid, if anything happens to me, don't cremate me, because on the day of resurrection, how is Jesus going to find all my ashes and put me back together? What are your thoughts? Is it an option for us?
Well, the reality here is that when you are dead, you are not, you are insensate to whichever way your body is done away with. Whether it's lowered on the ground, is interred, whether it's cremated, whether it's frozen, you have no knowledge of that. And you have no authority on that. But culturally, I think let me stick to Nigeria now. An average Nigerian would flinch when they hear cremation. I flinch if I think of my body being cremated. And I wouldn't call myself uneducated, but it's just cultural. Culture is not something you just excise from someone's system.
But that removes 53,000, 57,000 out of the cost.
Now we are talking about transition to a different environment entirely. So many things, contingencies affect your lifestyle. It affects your thinking. It affects the way you see life, because you are in a different cultural setting entirely. I wouldn't want my family to waste 50,000 to repatriate my body. For what? This body, is it useful for any other thing again after it's gone?
But do they know that,
You
though?
know.
Are they,
So
have
those
you,
are the
have you talked
things
about it
we should, well,
with your family?
personally and also culturally, an African doesn't like to talk about their death.
Oh.
Because I will tell you a quick story, very short. My grandfather, paternal grandfather, bought his casket before he died. I think at the age of 70-something.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's always there in his room. You know, he's an Ogboni and a very regarded person. But what he did was a shock, because Africans don't prepare for their own deaths. They don't talk about it. Why? It's not because we don't plan. No. It's because we see life differently. We love life a lot. We are connected more with what is the meaning. See, the meaning of life in the West is you having vacation, you having exotic car, the match. In Africa, it is you having family, friends, people you
and throwing
connect
parties
with,
every now and then.
throwing parties. You know, it's part of our life.
Yeah.
We are more. I'm
want
not
to chop life
I'm
first.
not under. No, I'm not undermining the life here, but I'm saying we connect more with the humanity within us, and that's why we don't think about death. And even when we die, we seem to think that, oh, the things I've done in my life, those coming behind would enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't waste our time to say, okay, when I die, this is how to bury me. It is never. It doesn't diminish us. In fact, I relish that kind of existence because we connect more with what life is. Here, things are sophisticated, but they are phony, also in their own sense. And because you are in that system, you have to move with that system. So it's imperative that we plan to save ourselves when we are in this system.
Toby.
I wouldn't mind being cremated if I die here, instead of having so much money
I just wanted
being
to
expended, taking my body away.
I just want to add something. I've met someone who, a chief actually, in my state, in Nigeria, who had his grave prepared. He had his casket. He has all his plans out. From day one, they made him a chief. I thought that was good planning, right?
That is good planning.
But you see, the thing is, we now see it differently, especially our people within our generation. Christianity has taught us to reject everything. Sometimes you even reject the good thing. All right. It's really not a bad thing to be thinking. But if you ask me right now, and I really don't have those plans, but I think I'm gradually
We're getting to the point where we have to
importance.
Toby, have you had any thoughts towards estate planning and end-of-life instructions?
Toby actually thinks he will never die.
This one loves life. This one,
He loves life so much.
His name is Jaye. Chop the life. Chop the life.
Contrary to what you might think, I do have an estate plan in that I do have a will. I do have
awesome.
I do have certain things I love to jaye, yes, but at the same time you might want to have those things in place. And I was like everybody else, when they say life insurance and any of those things, it kind of strikes like, are you trying to kill me? Why do you want to sell me for me to buy something that will make me think about death? So we all have those kind of thoughts, but after a while, if you understand it, it's a lot more than the life or the death it's a policy. It's something you can leave behind. It's a plan that doesn't worry anybody about this and that, so you might have one or two of those things on ground. Not like you're planning to die. No.
What about end-of-life instructions? Sorry to be so pokey.
Yeah, it's part of the whole, it's part of the whole package. Yeah, it's part of it.
My goodness,
for certain instances, I don't mind for whatever it is. The real truth is that this is not us. We're just living inside these bodies. So I'm gone. I'm gone. It doesn't matter whether you burn them, whether you bury them, whether you put it in ice. So the real me is no longer in that body. Whenever the time comes, and that time will come for everybody. So it's not like it's a personal resolve, but. As far as I'm concerned, when the time comes, everybody should be ready.
One of my friends was telling us, I think this was after that other event I was telling you about. A friend of mine was telling us, and her children are in their teenage years. Said that she had actually spoken to their children very specifically.
The call you said the person made to Nigeria?
No, to their actual children.
Oh, okay.
Here. and they just called them like maybe after devotion or whatever, and they said, okay, so kids, we need you guys to know, in the event of XYZ, this is where this document is, this is where this is, this is this and this and this is what you are to do, with our bodies. If anybody from back home is saying, for instance, this, I'm your uncle, I'm your this, and you must follow this instruction, they've given, clear instructions. So while it sounded morbid, I understood it because they freed and they have empowered their next of kin or whoever will survive, with the information that will help them, carry out, their last wishes so just planning.
Yeah.
Better planning. So
yeah.
we have to, I'm thinking, that at some point, I think we've only just scratched the surface of these conversations.
Right.
Wedding planning, life planning, family planning, and all those things. They would look different in the West, and perhaps we need to start bringing in some experts to sit with us at the table to give us some guided, step by step, informed instructions on how to plan.
Yeah, I love that one that you said family planning. That could mean a lot of things.
That's where we'll find you, Yakubu.
Family planning
Yakubu.
can mean a lot.
See, let me tell you, what you are planning now is how to be a grandfather.
Yeah, of course.
You need to start planning your
Please,
grandpa years.
don't implicate him. He might still be thinking of being a father.
Because really, you don't know.
There is a
He
doctor
What
God
that
cannot
takes
do does
care
not
of you
exist.
in your old
A
age.
recent
It's
father.
not
That
over.
daughter.
It is not over.
Once I give birth to Olushile, that's the one for the opening of the house, one for the road. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. As always,
You're welcome.
this has been fun. Nice tackling this with you.
But nobody will die in Jesus' name.
Nobody. Amen. 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 Amen.
But it's a very good topic for us to keep reflecting on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, both personally and then spreading the message.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you've heard it all, folks. Our culture doesn't have to be an ancient museum stuck in time. Let's evolve and hand the best of both worlds over to coming generations. Thank you for joining the conversation on Naija Now this week. See you next time.